Okay. Sometimes there's a lag when it starts recording, so when it does that, apparently I'm going to start making weird faces. I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet. But, want to make a video. It's going to address something that has been concerning me, and I'm going to actually get a review done in the process of doing this. Shit. I probably should have had the game in my hand so you could see it. I literally just beat it about 10 minutes ago. But, this is going to be the part where I say, oh, I'm going to complain it's too short, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm talking about The Order, 1886. And this is literally a game I wasn't looking forward to at first until I started seeing more advertisements for it. And I'm like, well, I like studying the Victorian age anyway. Why not? I'll pick it up. End up getting the collector's edition because I saved up for it. And despite the fact that I started playing it yesterday and I just beat it now, guys gotta sleep, right? I enjoyed it. Yes, it's on the short side. I beat it in about 8.5 hours. And that's because I was kind of trying to explore as much as I can, find everything. I mean, seriously, until time travel becomes a possibility, and that's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. I mean, look, it's 2015, we don't have fucking hoverboards yet. But, until time travel becomes a possibility, I'm not going to be able to, go back in the Victorian age. This is the closest I'm going to be able to get to it. And it's fictionalized, so that doesn't make it better, but whatever. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, 8 hours for a game like this seems relatively short. Until you play it. And I know that's going to sound like a bad thing, but it's not. What people are complaining about is, oh, it's just your standard Gears of War ripoff, blah, blah, blah. I knew that going in. And I think that's part of why I enjoyed it. I knew that going in. And that was one of my big reservations was, it's just Victorian Gears of War with werewolves. And rebels and not much else to it. So I wasn't really expecting a lot. I realized within the first year of having, these next-gen consoles, it's going to take a while before people get these really innovative ideas. Now, I know someone's going, shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're talking about, because indie developers have been doing innovative ideas for a long time. I realize that. I'm talking about AAA developers because they're going for what sells. Look what sells. Call fucking Duty. Every year it's the same damn game. And every year, like a chump, I end up playing it. I will admit. The only one that was different for me was Black Ops 2. I liked Black Ops 1. Black Ops 2 blew me away with the fact that you can slightly change the ways things happen. And if they do Black Ops 3 like that, or build upon that formula, I'm going to be a happy camper. But, you take that premise of it's going to be the same type of game, you already know what you're going into, your expectations are going to be a bit low, and mine were a bit low. I'm like, this game looks beautiful, but it's going to play like Gears of War. And it does. Nothing could have prepared me for it, though. Not like that. Nothing could have prepared me for how sucked into the world I was going to get. I started playing yesterday about 10 o'clock. I didn't stop until about 4. I had breaks in between for food and everything, bathroom. And I started playing around 3. And I took about an hour break between 3 and 9:30. So about 8 or something like that. So almost about 8.5 hours is what my save says. And part of the reason I didn't want to stop initially was I was fully engrossed in the story. It's one of those things, you're playing it and you're like, oh wow, this is actually written like it's Victorian. It's not like a few things I have a problem with, like the comic book Umbral. It's written in a modern tongue in medieval time. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. This is written with the dry Victorian sense of humor. One of the characters, Marquis de Lafayette, is a Lothario. He's always hitting on women. But at the same time, he's a very competent, capable gunman, very capable soldier. And you're just watching his character play out, and you're like, oh, he's kind of funny. I like him. Lady Igraine. I liked her from the moment she showed up. It's like, what took you so long? It's just kind of bantering from you. That is actually the one thing about the story that bothers me, is her character just goes nowhere at the end. Something happens and she's just like, I'm going to get revenge, and that's about it. That's the biggest problem with this game, is there's so many things. It's an origin story, and if you take it as an origin story, the story is great. Well, it's great in the sense that if you're expecting a cliche, or a bit of a cliche, I'll get back to that too. But as an origin story, it's great because it builds up to this climax of what is making this character so important to the Order. And it's not what you think initially. I mean, you're going to figure it out by the end that, oh, this is going to happen. Well, you're going to figure it out within the first 5 minutes of the game. But finding out what builds up to that, and then something happens at the end of the game that adds to that. I'm kind of shaking the bed, I apologize. I'm not recording on the desk, as you can see. But it introduces points like Jack the Ripper, Lady Igraine, that it's like, oh, we're going to put this off until next game or next DLC. And some of these could have just been satiated right then. The other thing is, I understand why they didn't make an open world game or a sandbox game. I think it would have paid off if they did. I mean, this is another big complaint I have about this game. You have sections where you're looking at stuff, like newspaper clippings. At one point you find a sack boy, and that kind of cracked me up. And it's like L.A. Noire, where you grab it. Actually, I'll borrow Pocket Panda. You grab it and look at it and examine it. Kind of like L.A. Noire, except not a panda in my case. Or the game's case. Well, the game is extremely linear, so while it encourages exploration with some of these objects, you're not really exploring. And I honestly think seeing a Victorian Whitechapel, London area like this, that would be amazing to do as an open world game. Especially with, the gunplay in it. The cover-based gunplay. I thought that would have been an interesting addition. Make it more like they're investigating this thing like they're doing. At the same time, I appreciate the story for being the cinematic type of story it is. At points, it really felt like I was playing a movie. Mainly because the transition from cutscene to game is damn near impossible to tell. I mean, everyone's talking about how gorgeous this game is, and they're not exaggerating. It really is. Both the graphics and the sound design in this is amazing. Those are the two big things I'll give A's to. I give the story a B because it does delve into the cliche conspiracy thriller thing. If you've seen Underworld, it reminded me a lot of that. But at the same time, I think it pulls it off, albeit in a cliched way. But it still kept me glued because of the writing. It was more than capable. The writing, the dialogue, it was brilliant. The level design was pretty good. There's one point I got a little frustrated on. It was, I want to say, chapter 12, where I'm going into the tea company's place, infiltrating it at night. And the one part I got frustrated on was I couldn't find a guy. Now, if you go on, say, Angry Joe's page, where he goes, oh, they throw 3 shotgunners at you and you can't do anything because the AI's so bad. There's this thing called black sight in the game. Joe, if you're listening, you might want to, try this. It's called black sight. You can actually target people. That's good for the shotgunners. In fact, that's kind of what you're supposed to do in these parts. The other part he got stuck on was 50 machine gunners and 1 guy with a grenade launcher. I kind of got stuck on that part until I realized, oh, there's a bottleneck. It's not a typical cover-based shooter in that regard because there is a lot of strategy involved. You have to think in this mindset of, oh, wow, okay, so here's a bunch of guys. I'm going to hide in this hallway so I can take them out one by one. And it worked. Here's 3 shotgunners coming at me. Okay, black sight. Bam, bam, bam. They're down. Now I can concentrate on the other guys. You have to think ahead. And I like that aspect of it. The rest of it's... For a standard cover-based shooter, that part stood out to me as, okay, Gears of War, for me, it was just, okay, I'll flank this area. This is more than just flanking. You're thinking of or prioritizing everything. The AI is not particularly the greatest, but it's serviceable for what it does. I've had shotgunners that will completely ignore me if I'm not shooting, but Lafayette was shooting at them. So they'd go to him. They'd go to the bigger threat. I had them avoid where I'm aiming. They're aiming, or got their guns like this, and they're swerving out of the way, actively trying to avoid me. That being said, yeah, some parts do feel like a shooting gallery, and I think the werewolf battles, instead of being scripted, they run towards you, you just press X, then you shoot at them as they run away. I wish they kind of developed that a bit more. That being said, there's 2 melee fights with werewolves that, while I wish they developed those more, I actually kind of had fun with them. They're QuickTime Event-esque. And I think this is what people are saying, oh, it's the beginning and the end are the same. If they literally mean the beginning cinematic is the end cinematic, then boy, are they fucking wrong. It's not. And I read one review where it says the beginning cinematic is the end cinematic, and already I can tell they didn't play the game. Because that's not the end of the game at all. There's more to it. A bit more. Just a little, but there's more to it. There's like a whole next level after that part. But you do have this QuickTime event werewolf fight towards the beginning / middle of the game, and then at the end of the game with a different character. But there's really a lot of subtle differences too that, I don't know, I thought it was a lot of fun. It's basically just strategize your attacks, dodge, and at one point you can actually do the black sight for fast melee attacks. Knowing Angry Joe's aversion to black sight, I'm pretty sure he avoided using it then too. But, and strategy for that matter, from what it looks like. But yeah, if that's the part reviewers are getting pissed off at, then they need to shut the fuck up, because this is the way the game's designed. Everything in the beginning, you use later on, throughout the middle and the end. That's how a game is built. That's how every game is built. Look at Grand Theft Auto. That's why there's a tutorial. They have that tutorial because you're going to use that throughout the entire game. And that's what this game does. So gameplay, I'm going to give a B. It isn't as innovative as people were expecting. I was expecting pretty much what I got. But I do wish they fleshed out the werewolf fights a bit more. So overall, I'm giving the game about a B, or just a B. I was going to say a B and a half, but that doesn't make any sense. Which leads me to my original rant was going to be with the reviews. I don't know what any of these reviews are talking about. I mean, I can understand the story being boring to some people because I'm, again, big into the Victorian history stuff. Not everybody's going to be. They took a risk with the timeline of this game. That being said, the story's not boring. There's a lot of moments where I'm like, there's a twist that I probably should have seen it coming. I honestly should have, but I didn't. And when they got to that twist, I'm like, now I know which reviews played this game and which ones didn't. Because the ones who kind of hinted at this twist played the game. Every other reviewer, usually the very negative ones, were like, oh, you just fight humans and werewolves and the big twist is someone betrays you. No, not really. I mean, there's more to everything in this game. Like a entire holy shit, what the fuck was that moment? Now, I don't want to spoil it. That's the thing. Because when it happened, I was like, wait, what? That? What? But then, again, you have these reviewers who are saying, oh, the game's too easy. I died a lot in it, though. That's not easy. I thought the difficulty was about average, especially for a third-person shooter like it is. I thought it was about an average difficulty. I died a few times. I died a few times in quick-time events, mainly because I pressed the wrong button. That's on me. But I never really had a section that completely infuriated me. And yet these reviewers, these shotgunners, all they do is run towards you and shoot at you. That's what they've always done. That's a shotgunner for you. That's what they do. They're heavier armor with shotguns so they can run up to you and shoot you with a close-range weapon. What, you want them to snipe you? Is that what you want them to do? This guy threw a grenade at me. He's a grenadier. That's why. This guy is shooting at me. How dare he use it? I'm not making this one up either. How dare this guy use his gun and shoot me while I'm in cover? Because he's shooting at you. He's the bad guy. It just reminds me of Splatterhouse, where the game was a solid game. A lot of fun to play. And yet reviewers wanted to jump on it because, well, they lied. It was supposed to be innovative. Okay, you want to jump on a game that says they're being innovative? Jump on Destiny. Okay? Because, plain and simple, Destiny, again, core mechanic, good. Not innovative. But, what did Destiny say they were going to do? That they're going to be innovative. That you're going to be able to do this, and this, and this, and it will be a 10-year project for this one game. They're already making a sequel. 10-year project, my ass. But they're getting mad at the Order for doing pretty much what it promised. So, yeah. Don't buy into the reviews. I've said this a lot, like, on both sides of the spectrum. I've said there's some games that are being praised as being good that were bad. Games that are being lauded as bad that are good. This is one of those games that's really good. I mean, you don't have to pay full price for it, but I would suggest at least renting it, playing through it. Who knows? You might find a game you fall in love with. You know, experiment a little. I'm playing Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't even like the rest of the series. And I love Inquisition. You know? It doesn't hurt people to explore their options and not listen to the reviews occasionally. Because you might miss out if all you do is listen to these reviews. Or you might be disappointed. Anyway, I'm running out of time. If my rant didn't make sense, I'll probably continue on about it later when I'm more cohesive, because I literally just beat the game. And you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.